In the days of Jesus, crowds often gathered to hear his teaching. He spoke in parables, earthly stories with heavenly meaning. Among these, one shines above the rest as a masterpiece of grace and love, the story of the prodigal son. There was a man who had 2 sons. His home was filled with provision, love, and stability. The older son was steady and faithful, serving his father daily without complaint. But the younger son grew restless. He longed for more than life at home. He craved freedom, adventure, and independence. One day, with boldness and dishonor, he came to his father and said, "Father, give me my share of the inheritance now." The request was shocking. In their culture, an inheritance was given only after a father's death. It was as though the son said, "I want your wealth, but not your presence. I want what you can give me, but not you." Still, the father granted his request. He divided his property between them, and soon after the younger son gathered his belongings and journeyed to a distant land, far from his father's eyes. In this new land, the son felt free. His purse was heavy, and his desires unchecked. He wasted his inheritance on reckless living, lavish feasts, shallow friendships, and pleasures that faded with the morning light. But wealth without wisdom cannot last. Soon the money was gone, and with it the friends and the parties. Just then a famine struck the land. Food grew scarce, hunger spread, and the young man found himself with nothing. Desperate, he sought work and ended up in the fields feeding pigs. For a Jewish man, this was the lowest humiliation, for pigs were unclean. Yet here he was, hungry enough to envy the food given to swine. In his misery, he remembered his father's house. "Even the servants there have food to spare," he thought. "But here I am, dying of hunger. I will return to my father and say, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me one of your hired servants.'" With nothing but broken pride and a repentant heart, he began the long walk home. Day after day the father had waited, his eyes scanning the horizon. His love had not dimmed, his hope not died. And one day he saw a familiar figure in the distance, ragged, weary, but unmistakably his son. Without hesitation, the father ran. He ran with tears streaming down his face, arms wide open, heart overflowing with compassion. He embraced his son, kissing him, holding him close. The son began his confession. "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father interrupted, calling to the servants, "Quick! Bring the best robe and put it on him. Place a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Kill the fattened calf. Let us feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." And so music filled the house, joy overflowed, and the lost was restored. Meanwhile, the older brother was in the field. As he approached the house, he heard music and dancing. Curious, he asked a servant what was happening. "Your brother has returned," the servant explained, "and your father has killed the fattened calf because he is home safe and sound." The older brother grew angry. He refused to enter this celebration. When his father came out to plead with him, his frustration spilled out. All these years I have served you faithfully, never disobeying your commands. Yet you never gave me even a young goat to celebrate with my friends. But this son of yours who wasted your wealth on reckless living, he returns, and you kill the fattened calf for him. The father replied with tender love, My son, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate, because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And so the story ends, but its meaning lingers. The prodigal son shows us the emptiness of a life apart from God. His fall reminds us that sin promises freedom but delivers slavery. Yet his return reveals something greater, the boundless mercy of God, who forgives, restores, and embraces us as his children. The father in the story represents God himself, patient, compassionate, and eager to welcome us home. The younger son represents all who wander but return in humility, and the older brother warns us against pride and resentment, reminding us that grace is a gift, not a reward for good behavior. This parable is not just about one family long ago. It is about us. At times we are the prodigal wandering far, broken, and ashamed. At times we are the older brother, angry, self-righteous, unwilling to forgive. But always God is the Father running toward us, arms wide open, ready to restore what was lost. The story of the prodigal son teaches us that no matter how far we stray, God's love never fails. His arms are always open. His mercy is greater than our sin. When we turn back to him, he does not receive us with cold judgment, but with overwhelming joy. He clothes us with grace, calls us his children, and invites us into his celebration. So let us not wander from the Father's house, nor harbor resentment when others return. Instead, let us rejoice in the God who redeems the lost, restores the broken, and loves us with an everlasting love. For once we were lost, but now we are found. Once we were dead, but in Christ we are alive again. This is the story. This is the lesson. This is the love of God.